All right, my lovers, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for tuning in. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, you know the dorks, you know how we do this. So I made a video recently talking about how speed is overrated, professing my love for wider tires, more sturdy bikes that are chunkier over terrain rather than speed. And I have one cat who got in the comment section, and this is the bread and butter of this channel, is all of us bike dorks just talking about our differences in kind of how we ride. So Pascal Briere 7108, his comment was, I still don't understand why not have two rings in the front, and with a mind blown. And so my response was, well, when you have a dinner plate for a cassette 1148, you don't need a 2x. And he said, yes, for speed. You still need something big in the front, matching the 11. And that would be too big for climbing, ? So what he's saying is, because I only have that 1x, I'm gonna lose out on top speed. This is true. I will lose out on top speed. But again, the whole point of the video is called Speed is Overrated. So let's get into a little bit more depth on why in particular I chose a 1x over a 2x. In reality, it was not an overnight decision. It took a lot of convincing from a lot of different YouTube videos and just kind of doing the math, literally just doing the calculations of the gear ratios and what I would need to climb, what I was using on my old bike, and if it would match. Knowing that big chainring at the front, losing that, you're gonna lose some top speed, but let's talk about that. So it took the couple channels before I really was like, okay, I'm ready to try a 1x. Bike Sauce and the Pathless Pedaled, their reviews on the Poseidon bikes and the Poseidon company in general just gave me the confidence to be like, I think this is gonna be enough gearing to ride in the way that I used to ride. Now, so let's talk about, after having tried the 1x, I fell in love with it, and I was like, this is absolutely the system for me. And I'm gonna talk about why, okay? There's 12 reasons that I can quantify that made me make the decision to choose the 1x and start converting all my bikes, or either just looking at bikes with 1x. Number one, mechanically simple, okay? They're simpler than having more chain rings. I value less maintenance over raw speed. So the mechanical simplicity of a 1x, you're taking out that front chainring, it makes it less maintenance, and I personally feel it shifts better with less gears, without having the front fiddle with a front derailleur. Number two, the range to me is better than the amount of gears. It's not that important to have a 2x if you feel like the range of gears is enough to do the riding that you want to do. Number three, I have more than enough gearing, and I'm saying that it's related to number two, but this has to do with just having the experience of riding and knowing the city, knowing the terrain that you're riding. Because I know where I'm riding, I have enough gears. I'm literally never in a situation where my gearing is something that bothers me or think, oh, I need more or less. It's perfect. It's perfect, quite frankly, for the type of riding I do. I don't worry about my drivetrain. Number four, as far as top speed, I have enough speed. I've realized over time with a 40 tooth with an 11, I'm still faster than 87.5% of most of the people on Bike Path. Now, I made that number up, but I'm faster than most people because I'm a strong rider and I ride regularly. So I don't ever feel that my speed is an issue. Number five, it goes back to the mechanical simplicity, but I feel like it shifts faster over mixed surfaces. I have a mechanical setup, there's no electronics, and over dirt and rugged stuff, I just don't want to shift up and down from a front derailleur. I don't think it's a good system on over mixed surfaces. If you think differently, that's cool. You know what I mean? It's difference of opinion, but for me, I feel like my ability to shift is, I have so much more confidence when I just have up or down rather than having to deal with a front derailleur, okay? Number six, I've dorkily calculated the drivetrain and the gear ratios that I need. I've calculated them, and because I've ridden so much, I know exactly what I need now before. So even when I was seeing if I was gonna get it, I still kind of did the calculations, being like, will that be enough? And I was like, okay, the numbers worked out, but the experience of riding it was not there yet. So once I realized that the experience matched kind of the numbers, I was like, okay, I put a lot more faith in the numbers being like, okay, you can calculate your drivetrain to give you a rough estimate of what you need. Number 7, I rarely ride in the 50-11 configuration. Now, if you know what I'm talking about the 50 chainring up front with 11 in the cassette. I rarely ride that. I've monitored my riding over the years, and on the flat, like 50-11 is really a downhill gear. Like if you want to keep pedaling downhill, 50-11 for sure. But on the flats, I would ride like maybe 11, 13, 15. I'd probably ride 50, 15 or the third cog in on the flats, unless I'm coming from it from a downhill and I've got momentum. But if I'm just I rarely would go to that 50-11. I just never use that gear. And so over time I was realized when I actually started paying attention to my drivetrain, I was like, I don't go there. That's just for downhill. And on most of the bikes that 50-11 is for the downhills, it's so scary to go 50-11 anyway downhill. It's too fast for a lot of those road bikes where the geometry is not as good going downhill to me. So the 50-11 configuration on a bike, over time I realized I don't need it, and it's kind of overrated because the type of riding I do doesn't warrant it. Wouldn't make sense for me. And so number 8, 1x chain rings seem stiffer, which seems to allow greater power transfer. Whenever I switch them over and I inspect the 2x's, the chain rings, the 2 chain rings are a little bit flimsier than the really, really robust 1x. So this is a controversial one because I have not seen any information on this, and I don't have any scientific information. I'm just going by just holding the 2 chain rings and knowing that the 2x1s seem a little flimsier and the 1x1 seems super stiff in comparison, which to me says, okay, even though that chainring by the 1x might have 2 or 3 less teeth or something, the stiffness of it compared to their one makes up for those few teeth. So I feel like I've lost much, even though I've gone from like a 50 to a 40, a 42 on the Fazzari, 40 on the Poseidon. I just don't feel that I need more speed. It's crazy once you actually get real with your riding and say like, what do I actually need? I'm not racing anybody, so I'm good. Okay, so 9, and over time, this is a theory I've come up with of riding, is that you only need 8 gears. Based on the riding experience that I have and my strength as a rider, I only need 8 gears ultimately to have fun on a bike, which is my main goal, or to commute somewhere. I can still commute off 8 gears if the gear ratio is right. Like if I had an 8 speed, then I'd probably want a 1x48, 11x48 in the back and then work it out in the front. But accept a few of those jumps, because what I realized over riding, you really need you need 2 gears to go downhill, right? And most of us aren't bombing downhill, so really you don't even really need that many, but 2 gears to go downhill, because some inclines are light downhills, so you're still going to pedal, but the really steep ones, you're just going to let gravity take you. So let's say you need 2 gears to go downhill, right? 3 gears for the flats, in terms of if you're approaching a flat from an uphill to a flat, you're going to use a different hill. If you're going downhill onto a flat, you'll have more momentum. So like around 3 for the flats, based on if you're approaching it from uphill or downhill. And then you'll need 3 climbing gears for the different ranges of climbing, your most extreme granny gear at the end, a bailout gear, you know what I mean? And so theoretically, if you really took the time to analyze what you needed for your riding, for the type of ride, for recreational riding, again, because I'm not an athlete in terms of, I don't do group rides with, I ride with Uncle Dan, but my 42 chainring in the front has proven to be enough to keep up with him. I don't think he could probably go faster if he wanted to, but again, he can't hit hills like I can, and he can't hit rugged surfaces like I can. So we kind of even out. Number 10, I grew up without gears, so big gear leaps are noticeable to me, but they don't bother me. I feel them. I'm like, okay, that's a bigger leap than on my Cannondale, but I just don't care. Like, I'm just like, because when you ride on a single speed, and you grow up riding like that, you just pedal. You don't really kind of think about it. Like having 2 gears is a luxury if if you grew up with 1. So having 10 is like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's which is what my bikes are, seems incredible to me. You know what I mean? My mind doesn't follow big bike industry trends. So I just follow my own experience of riding. And to me, having 10 gears feels like a lot. I don't think everyone feels that way. I know definitely road riders would feel like they don't have enough. But to me, I feel like, I'm good, you know? Number 11, I'm just not attached to any trend. I guess it's the same thing what I'm saying. So I just tend to follow my instincts, and I'm sensitive to enjoying myself on the bike and being comfortable on the bike, and I pursue that over speed or being a weight weenie. I like sturdy, comfortable, rugged, and reliable over anything else on the bike. If you're telling me the bike goes faster, but you're gonna be less comfortable, or it's gonna be more sketchy downhill, I'm like, I don't care. I'd rather it be more comfortable than get more speed. I'm just not racing. Maybe if I was in another life and I was a racer and this and that, then those things would be important to me, but my mind really just doesn't think about it like that. And if anything, because the terrain that I ride is so hilly, there is such a thing as too fast, right? Like there is such a thing as if your bike doesn't have awesome geometry for going downhill, then going downhill is not fun and it's scary and it's sketchy. But because the gravel bikes are more stable downhill, it makes the riding experience more fun. So those things to me, like going downhill, especially if you live in a hilly place, a lot of your speed is going to be generated from going downhill as much as it can be from pedaling. And in those situations, you want to be able to descend with speed, but feel stable more than you're just going as fast as you possibly can and sacrificing everything else. Number 12, the aesthetics of a one by just look awesome to me. They look clean to me. I prefer the look of a one by. If I'm just going by the looks of bikes, to me, the look of a single speed looks the coolest to me. It just look clean, like a pedals, and like it looks like the way you draw a bike. If you didn't, you just saw a bike once, you wouldn't think about the derailleurs and all of that stuff. You just think of this clean thing with wheels and pedals and a handlebar. And the closer you get to the cleanliness of a fixed gear or single speed, the cooler a bike looks to me. And a gravel bike is closer to that with a one by than it is with a two by. That the aesthetic look of it looks cooler. So those are the reasons really why a one by. The last one is somewhat superficial, but because of the function of it, it makes it not so superficial. It looks cool and I prefer it. So it's just something about the two things coming together that it looks cooler to me and it functions better for my riding that just make my heart soar when I see a clean looking one by. It just looks so beautiful. So in there, that's really why I chose to ride that one by over the two by, and for the foreseeable future, unless my riding style changes, I feel like that's where I'm gonna be.